Hello and welcome to another edition of your favourite podcast, Insane in the Membrane.
Insane in the Membrane.
Hello, one and all. I hope you're well. I hope you're good. I'm recording this from my flat as we speak today, and it's early. We did an early one, so yeah, it's been good. It's funny how you do need a moment in the morning to sort of get yourself in gear before you launch yourself into your day. I'm not saying that, I'm hardly working down on mine, but you still need to get your brain in gear, don't you, to get talking to people. It's a funny one, isn't it? When you haven't spoken to anyone for a while in the day, and then you go off into the world, and the first thing that comes out of your head is just garbage or gobbledygook. You go, well, I needed to practice speaking before I did that. Anyway, I've rattled on already. We need to do the admin. So, firstly, thanks to our lovely Patreons. You really are a wonderful bunch. You really are helping us keep this podcast going. Like we say, every penny we get goes back into the podcast. So thank you very much to everyone. Thank you to our new patron that's joined us, Jack Lockwood. Hello, mate. So thank you for that, Jack. Thank you to all of the patrons. We really do appreciate it. If you would like to become a patron, if you'd like to join them and get over 50 archive interviews, early access to our filmed interviews, because we are filming these now, and you get that way before everybody else. Go to patreon.com/membrane podcast, or click the Linktree link in the podcast description, and in all of my social media bio. So if you go to Instagram, I am Rich Wilson. Twitter, I am Rich Wilson. Facebook is Rich Wilson. All of those things, you'll see it says Linktree. You click on that will take you to everything that we do. So it'll take you to my website, it'll take you to other socials, it'll take you and show you that you can even book producer Paul to do things if you're that way inclined. He's very good at what he does, as you know. So there's all manner of stuff there. Just click the Linktree, and that will take you also to our Patreon page, or patreon.com/membrane podcast, and then just bung us a couple of quid. It's only like, if we had a quid from everyone, that would be amazing. It just helps us keep going, because we've got some great things coming your way, some great guests coming up. We want to keep doing that because we love doing this as much as you love listening to it. So thanks for that. That would be wonderful. So let's get into it, shall we? Yeah, why not? My guest this week is Rob Auton. Now, people that have listened to this for a while, or from the beginning, will remember Rob came on. Would have been 2019, I believe, and we had a great chat. We went to the Avalon offices, Avalon being Rob's agent. They very kindly let us record some interviews in their offices before everyone was heading up to the Edinburgh Festival that year, and it was a great chat with Rob. He really does have a wonderful sort of world view. He's one of my favourite people. I love watching him perform. I love his writing. I love his worldview. I just think he's great, and he's going back on tour. So we were like, yeah, let's get him back on. We'd be lovely to have a chat with him. And we had a chat in this episode. It's just come out of Edinburgh. Like we're all sort of coming off the back of the Edinburgh Festival, and we talk about it in the episode actually. How, I mean, we're very privileged to do what we do. We're still mentally and physically, it's still quite a thing to do for a month. We just focused on that one thing, trying to bring the best show to the people that have bought tickets, So with that in mind, I'll tell you now, Rob is on tour right now. Tickets are available at www.robauton.co.uk, and check out Rob's podcast, the Rob Auton Daily Podcast, which has reached millions, well over 1.5 million sort of downloads. He's really smashed it. It's a great little podcast. He's writing, he's drawing his spoken word album with Scroobius Pip as well. He's a very talented man, and and every time I mention his name, people go, oh, I love Rob. Everyone loves Rob. He's a very talented man, and you'll hear that in the episode. So without further ado, coming up in a minute is Rob Auton.
A podcast from producer Paul.co.uk.
Insane in the Membrane.
You're looking really well.
Yeah, you too. Thanks very much. It's nice when people say that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Just say that to people. Like, maybe you don't say it when you don't mean it, but I never have the confidence to kind of go, "Oh, you're looking well." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do actually. I like to tell people they look good, and I mean it as well. I'm like, oh, I love that shirt, man. Or I've been known to stop people and go, "You smell nice."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know, not because I want any kind of, I just think, I'm like, you smell really nice. And I think I just want to tell someone, you know?
Yeah, I think that's really important, isn't it? Just to be able to follow your instincts of going, I want to be, just not, even holding in positive things can be detrimental to your mental health, can't it? Of going, oh, do you know what? That person looked really nice and I didn't tell them, or I really enjoyed that night and I didn't say anything, you know?
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's funny, isn't it? Because, I think we worry about looking like a dick half the time. You know what I mean? I remember telling someone once that he looked great and he went, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all right, mate.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting from that one, but I mean, a lot's happened since we last saw each other, Rob.
Yeah, I was gonna look on the Spotify. Well, actually, I saw you in Edinburgh in the caves, on the evening. Do you remember?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
And but yeah, what year? I was going to look on the Spotify dates. When was it? Was it like 2019?
Yeah, I think it would have been. I think it was just before everything went to shit for a bit. I think it was just before that because you were leaving for Norway somewhere. Yeah. And then the world just fell in on itself. So and now we're coming back out the other side. How are you finding it coming back out into the world?
All right. I think, well, not really. I think I'm still trying to come to terms with what happened. I think I watched that programme the other night of This England. Have you watched it?
No.
I mean, it's pretty much all about the pandemic, really, but it focuses on Boris Johnson. And it just absolutely broke me. It was just it's by Michael Winterbottom. I think he did The Trip.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff was just so. Oh man, it was full. Obviously, it was just so affecting. But for me, more personally, I think I'm just kind of coming to terms with how kind of big it was.
Yeah.
I knew it was big, but it's that thing of like the further away you get from something, it's like looking back in your rearview mirror in it and going, flip it out, look at the size of that skyscraper. And it's still there, And it's kind of, especially in Edinburgh or shows and things like that, like thinking, I think people are different now.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Or maybe that's just me. I don't know. But I feel like it's going to take a while, definitely.
I think so. People seem to be more... They seem to give a shit even less now. There is a lot more sort of pushing and shoving, not physically, but kind of mentally, to sort of... People kind of like, I don't know, sort of pushing each other out of the way to get to stuff. It feels... You know what I mean? And it was always a little bit like that, but it seems to be worse now. Just people, I just see people. So I took my missus to work the other day, and just there was a guy. He was just bobbing through the traffic in his car, and then this other cyclist was having a go at someone else, and I was looking at it, and it was like a painting of anger, just everyone dust. And I get it. There's pressure from all sides, and we haven't recovered from what happened.
No, I think people are less scared of cars than they were as well, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? You're seeing that in London. People just walking out in front of cars.
Don't give a shit.
When did that happen? It's just like that thing. Oh, you know, when I was growing up, people didn't used to have the guts to walk out in front of a car. I mean, maybe it's where I live in Hackney, but it's that winds me up so much because I think it's fine. You know, zebra crossings. I really feel, you know, so assertive at a zebra crossing, and I love like that license and the power a zebra crossing gives to someone. Yeah. But with you know, when people are just walking out in front of cars willy-nilly and not really care, like saying, like, look, I'm just going to walk out. If you hit me, that's it. You know, it's your fault. But yeah, it's 9 o'clock, isn't it? I've never done a podcast this early. And
we're getting stuck straight in as well. It's quite heavy for the first thing in the morning.
I know.
We haven't even had cereal.
I have actually. Have you?
Oh, yeah. No, I had a banana.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was too busy faffing around with wires.
What cereal do you normally have?
You know what? I'm Cheerios at the minute.
Are you?
Yeah, just plain and simple Cheerios.
How much is it for a box of Cheerios nowadays?
Oh, I think they were like $2.49. It's quite.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, I was quite happy with that. Value for money as well, you see, because of everything at the minute.
Well, my mate sent me a picture yesterday of a box of Weetabix bite size with chocolate bits in it. They were £4.5 just for like a regular box.
What?
You can't have a box of cereal that costs more than £4, surely. But that was because I just got really wound up on Saturday in Lidl, and I wanted to buy something, and it didn't have a price on it. And I just got in my own head about it. I was like, look, if nobody goes up to one of the staff members and says, look, there's no price on this, why, like, you know, every now and again, if you're just in a bit of a dark place, something like that can really get into you.
Yeah.
And I just thought, what's happened? What's happening? It's like key information. And then if no one says anything, then it continues to be crap. And yeah, anyway,
yeah,
that one.
True. Loads of things like that. I've moved to Brighton, so I was just having a wander around yesterday.
Yeah.
There's all these like vintage shops and antique shops, old furniture shops. Yeah. And I was just in this thing and I was wandering around and there's no prices on any of this stuff. And it's all, to be honest, it was all shit. But because it's old, they seem to think that, oh yeah, this is going to be worth whatever it is. And I got really annoyed going, oh, this means I've got to ask the guy, how much is that? And then he's going to tell me some bullshit price. And then I'm going to get annoyed because that thing isn't worth that. And it'll just wind me up and then he'll think he's Lovejoy. And you go, it's just a table. I just want you to be less cunty.
Yeah. Lovejoy is such a brilliant name, isn't it? For like, when they were thinking of surnames, Lovejoy, fantastic. No, I was in Brighton the other, when was it? Probably about 6 months ago now. And you know, you get those things on the kind of shops on the seafront.
Yeah.
And there was someone who was selling postcards, and they had like bits of metal, like shaped metal that has got a price on it, you know. Yeah. But then there was this, there was a metal blue whale, and its tail was a bottle opener. And I thought, I'm going to have that. And then it said, go and pay at the cafe over there. You know, it's kind of loose, isn't it? Brighton. I love Brighton. Some of my best gigs of my life have been in Brighton. But it's got a life to it, hasn't it? It's kind of, you've got to embrace it.
Someone said it's like living in a festival. And yeah. And it's true. Like the other day, there was a guy just playing his drums. Stood on the corner playing his drums. Whether people were listening or not, he was just playing his drums. And you're like, yeah. He didn't even have a hat out to collect money. He was just playing his drums. And he's just going, yeah. To have to go, I'm going to set my drums up in the park near the shops.
Yeah.
And just play.
I think that, I guess, right, that would be a good place to come back to from a festival, because, you know, Like, I remember coming back from Glastonbury once and walking down Walthamstow Market, and there was music banging, but no one was dancing. And it's that thing, you know, when you've just been dancing all weekend and then you get back and like, what? Why is no one dancing? Whereas I guess in Brighton, at least, they still kind of get the odd person still going for it.
There's always someone going for it. Like when you walk along the beach and on the front there's always someone somewhere. There was a woman the other day, and she came rollerblading down the ramp, and she did this spin and then did this shot, and she was videoing the whole thing. She had a selfie stick and she was videoing the whole thing, and then she just finished it and she just went like that. And it was a real like superhero, like the way she spun into everybody and then just spun around and just went. I was like, that's amazing. I would have loved to have seen the practice that she had to do to get up to that point.
Yeah, 15 years of hard work.
Man and boy. Oh, man. But I'm trying to give up bread at the minute. You ever tried to give up bread, Rob?
I've never tried to give up bread. I don't know if I could do it. I went through, I hadn't bought a loaf of bread for ages, and then I was in Lidl. Again, it's getting I live over the road from Lidl, and it's the closest to a supermarket I've ever lived.
Yeah, right.
It's literally, 100 yards away. And it's just, scared of moving, really, because it's going to make it seem such a big event to go to the supermarket. And I don't want it to be. But have I ever tried to give up bread? No. I went and bought a big loaf the other day, and I thought, this is what was screwing you over. But I haven't been to the doctors to try to find out if I've got any intolerances or anything like that.
Yeah.
But does bread screw everyone?
I just realised that every time I ate, and I love bread. I adore bread. Bread is the thing that I go to every time I'm hungry. I'm like toast, sandwich, bread.
Yeah.
And I realised I was like, I don't feel right. I wasn't feeling right. And I'm like, maybe I've overdone it. Maybe just some bread rather than all the bread.
What's your favourite?
Tiger loaf.
Is it?
Yeah. I love that. Tiger loaf from Asda. My God. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's big, isn't it?
Yeah, it's big, value for money, it's crusty.
Yeah, it's you don't get many other animal type breads, do you, really?
No, that's the only one.
Do you think? I think there's probably someone listening thinking, no, there's this type of bread. But yeah, you've got to cut that up yourself, though, haven't you? Or does it come in
slices, mate? Slices. You can it can come fully formed. Yeah. But the sliced one, because if you have it, that's the thing. If you have unsliced bread, you're the master of your own destiny. So you could just cut it in half if you wanted to.
Yeah. There's like those funny pictures, isn't there, of someone who's just cut a loaf of bread in half. It's like that, and then there's like some ham in the middle of it.
Well, you see people walking around with those bloomers cut in half, and they're eating it like they're eating a bag of crisps, just pulling it out.
I saw someone the other day who had, every now and again in a supermarket, you see someone and they're just buying stuff in bulk. Like you go, whoa, okay, you're clearly buying this for either another shop or you're going to sell it, or there's some sort of massive event. It was this guy, he had half his trolley was, probably 3/4 of his trolley was full of the orange kind of toasted bread. And then he just went and bought one cucumber as well. I thought, flipping it. What's going to be happening there?
I mean, he's going to have to cut that so thin if he wants that cucumber to stretch to all of that bread.
You're mad.
Isn't it funny? I know it's been well documented, but when you stood in the queue and you're looking at other people's baskets, you can't help but wander off and think, I wonder what what got them to that point where they're buying all that kind of stuff. Like some people have a whole basket full of frozen stuff, and then someone else when it's just fizzy pop and sweets and biscuits, and you're like, what is it? What?
I think that's kind of, I don't know. I used to do that all the time, but I don't know whether I'm less inquisitive. I don't think I am. I think I don't know. In supermarkets, in that, I'm just like get in and get out. I just can't. I think maybe that's something to do with the pandemic, with like, it's more of like an operation now. Maybe I don't look at it as such a fun thing. I used to love going to the supermarket, and I still do, but it's like, that goes to a bigger thing of going, can you still try to, because that's fun, isn't it? Looking in people's baskets and going,
yeah,
what's this? What are they having? Who's this person? And yeah, as you said, like Tom Waits, he's got a really good story. He was like, I love going to Sybil, man. And he's talking about that. And, but I think that's it, isn't it? If like I want to try to stay, have that kind of wonder at things. And I've always been quite good at that. But just recently, I don't know, just like, come on, you've got to keep, it's fun. You've got to stay. You've got to put things in place that allow you to enjoy things like that. Because if you stop enjoying little things, then it can snowball, and suddenly then you're just like in a complete pit. Yeah,
no, it's true, mate. It's like like you say with the supermarket thing, because it became. It was like, right, you're only allowed out for a certain amount of time, and where we were living in Leigh-on-Sea in Essex, we weren't near the shop. It was up the hill as well. So to go to the supermarket I'm going to the supermarket whilst I'm up there. I'll pop in there and then I'll go and see that person. Like it was like a day out,
right?
You had to have all your bags with you, because once you'd gone out and you're up the hill, you didn't want to come back to get your bags. That was effort. That was
yeah.
Fuck. So that became a chore to go and do that, because you're like, all right, I have to go and make sure I'm doing several things at once. And you're right. I think it takes more effort now to see the joy in stuff, because there's so much pressure from everywhere. I've stopped looking at the news because it was making me feel, I felt useless. And I'm like, I can't change all these things, all these wars happening, the famine and everything else that's happening. Like I can't change it, but I was made to feel like it was on me, it was on us to do something about it. And I'm like, I don't know what to do about it. So I just stopped looking at it. And
how's that, mate? How's that? Made you feel?
I feel better since, but I feel bad now I feel like I'm ignoring it. It's like, but I still feel like there's nothing I can do. All I can do is take care of the people around me and be decent as I go through life, or as decent as possible. That's all you can do, really.
Yeah, I've got a really difficult, I remember I was speaking to someone recently about the war and things like that. And was like, it really affects me. And she said, it affects everyone. I'm like, yeah, it's true. I'm not really, I don't know. It does get in my head though. And you're like, yeah, I mean, when a big event happens, I'm just glued to live news and watching it unfold. I remember with like the London riots, I just watched it for hours and hours and hours and hours. And it's just, I don't know, just like the fragility of everything, and going, like, seeing people in certain behaviours. I don't know. I just find it. It's human behaviour is very, very interesting, isn't it? It's just, and what we do to each other, and I can't think about it too much. So yeah, you've got to look after yourself, and I think one of those things is probably like looking at the news first thing in the morning. It's not. I was listening to a thing the other day, and they were saying about you've got to be a thermostat instead of a thermometer. So you set you set your mood instead of being affected by everything else.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
good. And I tried to do that, but it ain't always easy, is it?
No, but I like you said, this is a great word, fragility, and I think that's what that was what was highlighted with the pandemic, was the fragility of our existence. It's like in just a matter of moments, we were all locked in. We weren't sure what was going to happen. And you kind of went, fuck, we could just be snuffed out just like that. And I think that's affected people on a level that they don't really understand.
No, definitely. And as well, I think it's, who knows? I think we need a few years to kind of, but maybe, you know, people might be like, oh, fucking hell, come on. It's not, you know, let's go. We're still, and, you know, I just went out bowling for my birthday and everything like that. It was great. Yeah. But there's every now and again it comes in and you're like, oh, yeah, Jesus, right, okay. You need to kind of look after that bit of my brain there because that was quite deeply affected by that, you know. You go, oh, all right, okay. And then you got to try and stand up and do comedy, you know, or whatever, which is, I feel like that is audience behavior. I mean, audience behavior is kind of, I don't know, maybe if you had a room full of 50 people who've been standing up on stage and they spoke about their experiences before and after the pandemic, or listened back to their 2019 shows compared to their 2022 shows. I don't know. I wonder, maybe that was just, yeah, who knows?
There's a definite shift in audience behavior now that I've noticed it a few times when you have to like say to them, it's like, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, but you're just chatting to each other. And they're like, yeah, but they're like, no, we're enjoying it. You go, yeah, but we can't do this whilst you're chatting. They can't get it. They can't understand what I'm like. Look, if you want to go and chat, then go and chat. But we can't do this show. The people around you can't watch this show if you are chatting to each other. And like, not just like whispering, like proper conversations. And you're like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Did you not have that before?
Not so much. Now and again, but now it seems more. It's more. Mind you, saying that, I went to see the before the lockdowns and stuff. I saw them twice, and both times, and I saw the Divine Comedy. All three gigs, they all had to stop the gig and go, can you not focus on this? Because the chat was so vast. Everyone was chatting. I've never experienced that at a gig before, a music gig especially.
Yeah,
maybe it was happening before all that. Maybe just
no, I don't know. I think that people. It's like what you were saying before about people kind of looking at, like, look, I want to do exactly what I want to do, not pretty much all the time, really. Of going, look, if I'm going to go to a gig and I want to speak to my mate, I'm going to do it because I don't know. Big things just happened and it's been really hard for me actually, so I'm going to do what I want to do. So, you know, I'm not sure if that's the best way to be, but people are just trying to flipping get by, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
That's not a very good point, but it's true.
Yeah, I think people, like you say, people are on a subconscious level. I don't think even people realise that they're still sifting through the wreckage, figuring it all out, putting their lives back together, you know? And I think people need to talk about it a bit more, you know, really talk about how they feel. So I just don't know if gigs are the right place to start talking about it. Maybe they need to, I don't know. But your show, the crowd show, is about community, isn't it? It's about people.
It is pretty much, yeah. I just got back. Well, yeah, I was doing it in Edinburgh, and it is about people and people in audiences and crowd behaviour. I mean, in Edinburgh, it's just, I don't know what's happened really. I think certain examples of audience behaviour in Edinburgh, like there was a lady. And I said a bit, and she was just like looking up at the ceiling and then looking at her watch. And I said, are you all right? And then she kind of did that thing where you put your hands together like that, which was with making a heart symbol. And I was like, what? And there was just more things like that that kind of, I didn't know what to do. I was just like, I don't understand, because you've been, the behaviour that you've been expressing to me is just kind of like that you're not interested, whereas now you're saying that you're really into it, and it's kind of mad. So, but I love all that, and it is a very fun show for me to do, and I'm just starting this tour now, and it's kind of does certainly make me think about people, and it's got to be a show, and people have paid for a ticket, so you've got to go, look, I'm trying to look at you as people and everything like that. But then that dynamic of audience and performer is still very much there. Some people have paid for a ticket. I haven't paid for a ticket. I'm doing it. I owe it to them to deliver a show that hopefully makes them feel something. Yeah. And but I just want it to be like a big gathering of people, you know, and for the wheels to come off, and for it to try to get as real as possible, and for it to be a unique experience every time, even though every word in the show is written. Like, I did a show in Margate the other night, and I gave the script to Alex, the guy who runs it, the Tom Thumb Theatre. Him as so run it. Yeah, it's great there, isn't it? Yeah. And he said, "Oh, I can't believe that it's all written, like, because maybe on stage it seems like I'm kind of making it up." Yeah. And I do get that in reviews a fair bit. Like, if you want to go and see something that's slightly looser around the edges, or a bit more. And I just think, are you taking a minute? Like, every single bit of this, I've figured it out, and I'm using the word that I want to use every single time. And certain things might happen in the shows, but I think that's what keeps me coming back to live comedy, is the unique things that happen in the room. And I think if you just go on your script every single time and you don't do anything different, I'd get really bored. Yeah. But I mean, doing a polished performance and like you getting the words right every single time, and the audience doing exactly what you want. Like, they're laughing at this bit, they're quiet at this bit, all the text right. And you know, every now and again you have those shows and you're like, I'll just do that every time. But then it can't be like that, because then the next day it's completely wild and they're not laughing at the bits that they're laughing at the other day, and you're like, oh God. So it's just it never stops being trial and error, ever. And my memory is so short with these things as well, of going, oh God, well, that bit really worked. I said that today. And then you try to do it the same, try to recreate that. Like, trying to recreate moments just doesn't work in a lot of the time, does it? I mean, every now and again, if it's strong enough, you can kind of go, oh yeah, I'll do that there, I'll pull that face there. Or like one day in Edinburgh, I did this bit and then tapped my head with the microphone, of saying, yeah, I know someone here is thinking. Then I tapped my head with the microphone, and everyone really, really laughed, and it was a new type of laughter that I hadn't really heard in one of my shows before. And I thought, I'll do that tomorrow. No, just nothing, you know, because people aren't stupid. They can tell. It's so easy for people to tell when you're trying to make them laugh, instead of just doing something that might have come naturally to you. And they're like, oh yeah, we're so tapped in to, of like humans, that we know instantly what the crack is a lot of the time.
Isn't it funny when there's comedians that we know that it looks like they're just riffing and they're bouncing off the walls and they're going, and then you find out that that's all scripted, and everyone sort of knows that's scripted. But then when someone does go off piste, like properly goes off piste, people go, oh well, he just riffs, and you can't win. So it's like, right, so you can pretend you can pretend that you're riffing, and that's fine. But you can't actually riff and go off on one, like do a whole show, like, because people go, well, he hasn't got any material. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's no disrespect, there's a skill to both. But I think to just go with the room that you're in and go with the information you have at that time and still pull a show out of the air and using bits of your material as kind of touchstones to bounce your way through, I think is really clever. But for some reason, our industry kind of looks at that like, nah, it should be more polished. It should be more this. It should be more that. You know, it's not about the rawness of it. And the fact that you've still made people laugh without it being polished. That I don't understand why some critics have a problem with that. It's because otherwise, if it's all polished all the time, you turn into Craig David, and no one wants that. No disrespect to Craig David.
He's had a very successful career. Like, he's one of those people when you go to Glastonbury, you're like, oh, Craig David's on.
Yeah.
And he's amazing, really. But it's with the polishedness, I don't know. I think that with my show, I always try to get it right. I did like a lot of work in progresses for this show. And I did one in Chelmsford and I didn't really know what to expect. And it was, I just loved it. It was kind of, I did enough work with the audience kind of at the start, and enough random things happened for them to think that I was competent, you know. But sometimes those random things don't happen, and you're still, so those kind of explosions of things made them have faith in me. Whereas sometimes you don't get those like in those wins early on, and then it's like whoa, okay. Like I was doing a gig recently in Canterbury, and I just couldn't. Sometimes I just can't get my head around something from start to finish. You know, you just go on and you go, all right, this feels weird, but I'm sure that I've got enough decent material for they'll get on board. This is kind of never not. Oh, okay, no, that did. Whoa, oh, okay, and then you come off and you're like, flipping heck, it's just mental.
Yeah, I had it last night. I was doing a gig, and I've only ever had this once before, Nottingham Glee, where I walked out and I've gone, how are we all doing? Are you well? And got nothing, like not even a murmur. Like you could hear the buzzing from the lights. That's how nothing I got. And I was like, that's really weird, because normally someone goes, hey, or whatever. And last night was the same. I walked out and just went, how are we doing? Are we good? Good to see you. And it was only a little room. It was only like 30, 40 people in it. And you go, and it got nothing, like nothing. There was no hooray. There was nothing. And you go, oh, fuck. And I started to try and chat to the audience. Nothing. I did material. Nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm the MC. If this is going to be nothing all night, this is going to be brutal. But isn't it funny when you expect, you've been doing it long enough and you do certain things and you go, that normally gets blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then when it doesn't, or gets even less than it normally gets, like even less than nothing, you go, fuck me. Now what? Now what do you do?
Yeah, it's unsettling, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's many other jobs like that, really.
No.
Where it's you're just completely confused from start to maybe everyone has that at work, where you can go, oh no, but that's talking about, it's going back to crowds, isn't it? Of going, not everyone has to work with a group of people. Well, maybe they do. Oh, I don't know. It's early, Rich.
It is early, isn't it? Were you out last night? Did you gig last night?
No. I was watching that, I don't know why, the thing about Jeffrey Dahmer on Netflix. Have you seen it?
Oh, mate. I've stopped watching it because it was getting in my head. And I think because there's so much murder on the telly now. I'd watched the John Wayne Gacy thing.
Right.
And then I started watching Jeffrey Dahmer before. That was it, yeah. So we started watching Jeffrey Dahmer. I stopped watching that because I had a nightmare where I was eating a foot.
I had a nightmare about it last night, yeah, where my old art teacher, no, she was an English teacher called Miss Grant.
Yeah.
I remember her because for one of our assignments or whatever, she made us review the trailer for Titanic. What's that about? She's like, all right, maybe she's just like, on the night before, I just thought, oh, what can the class do? So I just review that trailer I've just seen for Titanic, whatever. But it was great. She was a really good teacher. But I had I'll call it a nightmare because it wasn't a dream, that she'd got all these body parts.
Yeah.
And she was teaching us art, and she was like, okay, yeah, I've got all these body parts. She was like bringing them in those like plastic crates, you know, that people use for dropping off food deliveries. And she was saying, okay, yeah, we're going to make a person out of these different ones here. Let's just mix them all up and make different people. And then I said, hold on a minute. I don't think you could just do this, can you, with body parts? And I said, this is murder. We can't. And then I think I woke up and I just was like, whoa. Yeah. It's just, I mean, yeah, horrific.
I think we are, I don't know why human beings are so obsessed with murder. And there's so much of it. So many documentaries now about different, and it is interesting, but you go, wow, that person not only killed that person, they destroyed the lives of the people around them that were connected to that person that was killed.
It does go back to, I don't know what, because that was the most popular program. What was the most viewed thing on the first week of Netflix? Like a week's views was like the most anyone had ever watched or something. I don't know. Yeah. But it's being watched a lot, and you just go, if that didn't exist and all the violence and everything like that didn't exist, would there be less violence?
I think human beings we're animals, aren't we, fundamentally? So I think there is that. There's always a violence in us somewhere. Just a lot of us, we have that. We have the ability to control it and not like that. Like when you lose your temper in the traffic or the supermarket or whatever. It's a defense, I guess, isn't it?
100% is, but I don't know, man. I won't be watching that again.
I've had to stop watching it.
I wasn't gigging last night. I'm going to, where am I going? Southampton tomorrow, and then the Isle of Wight, and then Bath. Last time I went to Bath, right? How do you say? You'd probably say people from down south say Bath, right?
Bath. Yeah.
And last time I went there, I said, hello, Bath. And they were quite vocal about it quite early on, like, it's Bath. And I said, I don't know if I can say that. Like, hello, hello, Bath. I've just never said it. And they say, no, that's how you pronounce the name of our town. It's called Bath. It's not.
Oh, so you have a bath. If you're from...
It's not called Bath. But no one up north would call it Bath. And that was a funny audience. It never kind of recovered, but it was good. I'm looking forward to going back there anyway. But maybe I will say Bath this time. And then I'm going to, all over. But I'm looking forward to it. I like traveling. I love going to different places and just trying to get a shot. Like when I was saying about the start of Edinburgh, I did loads of work in progresses for this show. And then you just go, by the end of Edinburgh, that's the show that I want. And it takes you, 26 times to get it to where you want it. And you're like, I wish I had this at the start. Probably be the same by the end of the tour as well.
Yeah. But do you not find that it changes? Do you do it word for word, or does it sort of evolve?
I've got the script, but if I feel a compulsion to say something that I hadn't said before within the thing, I'll try it. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, I was thinking the other day about, I talk about some of my opinions in the show, and I say, I've got some controversial opinions, like I think a palaver should have been a pudding and it missed its calling by being a prolonged and tedious fussy discussion. And I wanted to say, I think condiments should have been, I also think condiments should have been called compliments instead of condiments, because they complement what they're with. And you could say, a waiter or whatever could say to you, do you want any compliments? And then I went off on that. I know it didn't get much of a reaction, but I liked the idea enough to want to try to write something about it, And so I think that's one of the best things, is trying something and it not really going anywhere, but thinking I'm free enough to be able to sit at my desk and try to write something about that and get some enjoyment from it. And that's the art for me, of just thinking, the freedom to just be able to write something and stand up and say it on stage is just, it's just magnificent. And I think that going on, talking about people in audiences and a lot of them talking and things like that, it's like the flip side of the, when you're connecting with people and it becoming that the magic is so potent, you go, well, I'm going to keep doing this then. But that fear is always there as well, of going, I've got to know. And it kicks in pretty much straight after Edinburgh, of going, okay, well, that was that. You're going to do it all. No, then what are you going to do? And it's like, there's not much kind of job security in it. So you've got to stay on top of it, haven't you?
Oh, God, yeah. But that's the thing. It's those connections. It's those nights when you properly connect. Like you said, that's why we keep doing it. Because people say, like, well, why if you had a weird night, why did you keep doing it? You go, because the weird nights aren't that frequent anymore. They come along now and again. But most of the time, I've been doing it long enough that I know when I walk out, I can feel, if there's a hubbub before, when you can hear it, you can hear the crowd check, you go, they're in a nice mood. This is going to be all right, this.
Yeah.
It's when it's quiet before. There's not a lot of movement. There's not much, you go like, oof, all right. But I mean, but 9 times out of 10, I know that it's going to be a good night. If it's sticky to begin with, we'll work it out and it'll get better.
Yeah.
Very rarely does it sort of start shit. Well, yesterday, what I ended up doing in the interval, I ended up going into the audience and just having a chat with everybody. And that broke the ice. Then it kind of, by the second section, we were back in the game and it was really nice. But it took that an actual personal kind of one-on-one connection to get everyone kind of plugged into the gig. It's
kind of funny, isn't it? You imagine like if films could see their audiences, like in a cinema or on a TV, or like, the film would be like looking at 2 people having a row on a sofa and going, "You're not watching me. What are you doing?"
Jurassic Park getting the arse.
Yeah.
Hang on, but do you have any idea how much this costs? And you're sitting here arguing about beans?
No, exactly. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I think that, but I wouldn't change any of it. Some of the experiences in Edinburgh was just, some were great, some were hard, but that's all. That's what it's all about. That's about the days. We've got to, I just got to keep doing my best to stay on top of it, really, and just never feel like I'm drowning in it, because I love doing it, and it's just
I think, like your show about the crowd and people. I think that was one of the things that was tricky for everybody in the pandemic, was the fact that it also shone a light on the fact that we do need each other and we need community. We need, it's nice to go off on your own and do what you want to do and have some time, but we need to be physically cut off, and it wasn't us that did it. We were like, you can't go near each other. Suddenly we were like, oh shit, we actually do need to communicate, which is why things like Zoom kicked in, because we were like, we need each other. We need that interaction.
And in Edinburgh as well, like doing a show about connection and community and feeling it in the room. And then 9 times out of 10, 5 minutes after the gig, I'm kind of on my own, you know. That was a lot to get my head around, because my show's at 10 to 3. And so go see shows, things like that. Yeah, but that silence of it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe next time I'm just going to do a show called the Rob Auton Show, and I'll just write a show that's about me, really.
Edinburgh can be quite lonely, even though you're in a major city in another country, but there's loads of people that you know there.
Yeah.
But it still can feel quite lonely. You have moments of, oof.
Oh, exactly. And I'm always very cautious of being overbearing to people. And I don't want them to think, oh God, he's a bit keen or something. But if you can't, I know a lot of people at kind of arm's length within comedy. Like, you know, I have a chat every now and again, but they're not. So yeah, it was quite tough, actually. A lot of my mates who I'd built up a quite strong friendship with up in Edinburgh over the course of the years weren't there this year due to like pandemic and things like that. And but it was still the thing about it is like there for the show, and that is why when it was cooking, and a couple of days just, you know, just like walking if the sun's out, and that, you know, it was really nice weather this time, wasn't it? And like finding a new cafe to sit outside and have a cup of tea on the morning and trying to recalibrate your brain and get ready. Yeah. But then, you know, I just had a big birthday. I was 24th of September. I was 40 years old.
Birthday, mate.
And that's so, you know, doing this podcast today all about mental health and things like that. That's the first birthday that big one where I remember my mum and dad. I remember my dad's 40th birthday.
Yeah.
And they went to see Dances with Wolves at the cinema. And yeah, that's kind of mad. It's like you get, I feel like I'm 15 years older than a lot of people. And then you go, would I want to go back? Probably not. You know, there's that thing about age, isn't it? You go, oh God, I'm this age. And then I just started thinking about all the stuff I've done. I'm like, yeah, I've kind of, what do I prefer, future or past? And it's like, well, I don't know, bit of both probably. What's that, the present? Who knows? It's kind of just crazy. There's no way, this thing about age of going, stay young. And I think I'm quite young internally, and I feel like I'm just getting started, really. Yeah. Maybe everyone feels like that. I don't know. But it's kind of, especially in comedy and things like that, I don't want to be like a bitter person.
No.
I just want to kind of do my own thing and do the art and do the work, and I just love that. And like I feel lucky to have chanced upon what I'm doing at the moment, and yeah, it's just epic, really.
You know what? It's not. I feel more at ease with myself now than I ever really did, and I'm 50. I turned 50 in January,
right?
And there is that when I was coming up to it, you're like, because to me, and it probably isn't, but to me, 50 sounds old. It's the first day. Whereas when I hit 40, I was a bit worried, but not as much, because 40 was like, yeah, but you know, people in their 40s, they're still seen as sort of like, it's still got a bit about them. But 50 was the one. I'm like, oh shit, that 5 sounds old.
Right.
But now it's like 6 months in or whatever we're in, like 9 months in. And you're like, oh no, this is fine. I feel better than I ever did. I feel like you just said, internally, I feel young internally. Every now and again, I'll see my reflection and go, fucking hell, you've weathered, but I feel great. I enjoy where I'm at the minute. It's a nice feeling.
That's what it has to be, isn't it? Because did you feel like that when you were 22? I don't know. I just felt like there was so much. The uncertainty was like new, just massive, and then I guess the more time you kind of get under your belt, the more solid the ground can kind of feel.
Yeah,
and I you know, and you have more conversations. You feel like not as things. I don't know. There is experience does count. With regard to kind of calming down, I think experiencing something and then doing it again, it's like, that's just like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about that. That's going to be fine. You've done that before, and this person said this to you this time. They didn't mean it, you know. And then you're like, oh, it's just becoming more and more robust. And like, it's almost, I don't know, it's that thing of kind of, you know, you get that feel like almost like one of those pieces of glass on a beach that kind of becomes smoother as it has more stuff going over it, and you're like, it just kind of goes past you easier as you get on. Maybe.
No, there's one or two now and again. You see them. You see someone that somehow has kind of, they've aged well and they're still dancing around, and then, but those people, most people. Do you know what? Actually, funny you mentioned this. So my nan passed away a couple of months ago, and she was an active person, but then she had knee operations, and they fucked it a bit. So then she ended up having a chair that would like lift up, push her out of the chair, instead of her having to use her muscles to stand up. So she had that, and then she had a bed that would rise up and down. And she did that, and because she had all these things, her muscles just wasted away. So she didn't use them. And then she ended up just the end of her life, she was just in bed, and she just kind of wasted away. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to do that. So now I'm going to the gym and I'm more active. And I think that's another reason why I'm trying to cut down on bread and things like that. Cause I want to be as active as I can for as long as I can. You know, I don't even want to lift buses off of kids. I just want to be able to move around a bit, you know?
Yeah. Why, like, super quick, but why? It's like, I guess that's because you enjoy life, right? Or you enjoy a lot of things about it.
Yeah. I like being able to move around and do stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think that's the thing, you know, don't take that for granted, because I think that's something that not everyone has that of, I mean, I got a bit in my show where I'm like, you know, I'm pleased that I was born.
Yeah.
Just am. I'm pleased that I was born. I feel like feel lucky to get to be a part of something. And then I say, you know, can't really say that type of thing down the pub with my mates. Like, you're right, Rob? Yeah, I'm pleased I was born. So what? What are you on about? Nothing. You know, but you do feel like saying it. Of going, yeah, I quite like it here, actually. There is a lot of dickheads who are like killing people for no reason. But on the whole, I mean, it's good, that feeling of going, I've basically being like a piece of dust with a heartbeat, pretty much the size of us. It's just absolutely nothing. And you go, oh, yeah. And then you get a council tax bill or whatever, and you're going, oh, God. You know, and that the walls just kind of closing in, and you're going, no, it can't be like that. We've got to get stuck in while we've still got the chance. And that is basically what all my shows have been about.
Yeah.
Of just you know, like anxiety not being the capital of you and things like that, and just going, look, you've got to, it's hard, but you've just got to try your best to do things to put you in a place that allow you to move around, and like stop eating bread if it's making you feeling really sluggish. Like the other day, since Edinburgh and turning 40, I've been really struggling, basically, like just not feeling motivated at all, because I work so hard. And then like doing something, and like in Edinburgh, I was waking up at 5 a.m. every day. My guts were all over the place. And then I had to do it. Like, even though like sleeping and digestion is so important.
Absolutely, yeah.
To do a show. And then you do it, and then I'd have like, I don't know, even if you're having like 1 pint a day or something, which I probably wasn't, but I was doing it enough, and I never really got drunk, but I don't know, and then I came out of Edinburgh, and the show that I was doing felt so, I don't know, it felt real. But then you come out of it and you're like, no, that's finished. And then being in that room, I was in this room called the Blue Room. It's like on the assembly thing behind the Gordon Aikman Theatre. It was like a rake. And it was the biggest room I've done. And it was such a challenge for me to try to get this energy to affect people in a way that I wanted to do it, and to do it in a place that's got quite a high ceiling. And then you get back to London, you go, whoa, God, that was intense. And then I knew that adrenaline was going to drop me like an absolute stone. And it just does every time. And you go, okay. And then I did some exercise for the first time, not ever, but since before Edinburgh. And instantly I felt that I was making my body work, something just clicked of going, just keep trying, There's something about using your body that makes you just, I don't know, it's so simple. Makes you feel something that you wouldn't have felt if you didn't do it. Yeah. Like, I just feel that so strongly, and it's so obvious, but like exercise, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That, it's just, got to do it. But then that feeling of, I can't be arsed. I just can't be arsed.
I know. I know. It's even like I said, where I used to work, where I used to live, and going to the shops was like, you were going to the shops because it was up, and the hill, it wasn't just a hill, it was a really steep hill. It was effort. And so you'd go, the amount of days I'd go, fuck, I've just got to go and do it. I have to go and do it. And then you go, maybe I'll drive up. No, don't start that. It's a 1 minute drive. Don't do that. That's absurd. But you've had a whole month of just putting your body and your mind through. It's not an ordeal, but it's something. It's full on for a month, not just physically, emotionally as well. Every day for an entire month. So you're bound to come back from that and go, fuck that. So it's so intense, physically, mentally, definitely mentally.
Oh yeah,
because you're no matter what level you're on, it looks like everyone else is having a better time than you, or whatever. There's all these things at play, and you're bound to come back and go, fucking hell, I need a minute. So you're going to come back and you're going to feel flat, of course.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's that thing of like the brain's inability to remember pain or whatever. Someone was saying like that's why women give birth twice or have birth again, because there's something about us that makes us forget pain. And I'm not saying that Edinburgh is the same amount of pain as having a baby, but it's there's something about it. It's just it's very real. And so it's such an onslaught of people saying things and you're hearing things, and seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, all this stuff. It's like for a month, and then you go, whoa, all right, yeah, now I'm just back, and you go, right, yeah.
But it's still, my missus said a really interesting thing. We were staying at her friend's house down in Leith, and even she said, even though we're not in the festival, we're right down here. I can still feel it. I can still feel the energy of the festival, and you never leave that for a month. The buzz is just always there, and the in the background, just the festival's just humming away behind you. And that, again, if you were in your flat in London and someone was drilling, but not like directly next door, but just enough that you could hear it, that would be the same thing as being in Edinburgh, and that would drive you mad in the end. You'd go, I just need to not have that for a bit. And that's Edinburgh. It's constant. Even when you're not in it, even when you've gone back to your flat or wherever you're staying, there's still that energy there of the festival.
No, absolutely. I went to mate's house on Saturday, and there was a few of us sitting around the table outside, and they'd bought this sushi train. It's like a toy train that's got tracks, but it's like a Japanese train, and it's got some trailers, and on the trailers are small plastic plates, and it goes round. You put like bits of sushi on it. And anyway, someone started it going, and it had this noise, like, and it kept, and we kind of forgot about it. And then we were talking for about an hour, and then I just pressed the little button on the front of the train that stopped it, and everyone just kind of went, "Oh God, yeah, that was really." And I thought, flipping heck, I wish I could do things, just press buttons and gigs like that, and make people feel like So that was the relief thing. I just pressed the button, and it was like, "Douche." There you go. Everyone felt the same emotion, and they're like. But, you can do that. I think that's one of the magic things about gigs, is like you can get when you push a button on an audience and they all react in the same way, it's like, oh, yeah, baby, this is immense.
But what I like about you is, and the last time I spoke to you on here, is there is a wonder that you have for the world. You do have a way of looking at things that, just the smallest things, and you go, God, look at that exists, and it is a really beautiful thing that you have, and I think you still have it. I think maybe, like we say, it's early today. It's a bit early to be doing this. You've got.
I hope this hasn't been a waste of time for you.
No, not at all. I love it, mate. I love it.
That's good.
We have to wrap it up. You've got another interview at 10. So, okay. Rob, this has been amazing. When does the tour start?
The tour starts tomorrow. What's the date? I've done two. I did Aberystwyth and Margate, so it started, but I'm going to be all over the place. My dates are on robauton.co.uk. And if anyone wants to come, I'd love to see you. Yeah.
I think you're brilliant, Rob, and enjoy the tour, mate. And thank you for spending time with us this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me, Rich. Yeah, pleasure. Great to speak to you, man.